What's going on? Tell me what's going on. What's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Mary B, and welcome back to another episode of Something's Got to Give. And I have recently joined a yoga studio. I am officially a yoga member, and I've been wanting to do this for the entire time I've lived in Los Angeles. The first time I took yoga class, oddly enough, was in high school. I had just left Hilton High School in Woodbridge, Virginia, moved to Framingham, and I needed to take one more gym requisite to graduate. When I first heard this news, I was really upset because I didn't really like gym. And in Virginia, you only needed 2 years, but in Massachusetts, I guess you needed three. And they offered yoga classes, and my guidance counselor must have known it would have been really great for me if I signed up for yoga class. So I did so, and that was the first time I got introduced to this type of practice, and it was super beneficial, especially with what I was going through at that point in time. Because just moving can be a lot. Now, moving from one parent to another in completely different states, completely different cultures, like I was going through a culture shock, I was going through a parent shock, I was going through a life shock. Everything was shocking the heck out of me. So yoga really, really helped me through that process. I afterwards found myself kind of dabbling with the practice. So I would go through my phases where I was very consistent. I would watch it on YouTube, like watching videos on YouTube and practicing at home. And sometimes I would venture out and even further and maybe sign up for a class or two. But I again used to really struggle with scarcity, so I would come up with every reason in the book as to why I could not actually sign up for classes and commit to being a yogi. But as I shared before, I'm about to embark on doing EMDR again, and the first time around of me doing it, I was extremely emotional, and I could not control how emotional I was, and I did not have a healthy outlet to handle my emotions. Before I started EMDR last year, I smoked a lot. When I started EMDR, whatever was happening with me processing my emotions made me stop smoking, because I realized finally this is not the coping mechanism that I need, and it's not doing anything for me. But because so EMDR helped me stop smoking, but I didn't necessarily pick up a hobby. Now, learning who you are, being authentic to yourself is a long process, and it's just not going to happen overnight to figure out what hobbies that you like, what you want to get into. But sometimes we overthink, because if you just get in touch with your inner child will tell you, this used to work, that used to work. Oh, I had an interest for that. Why don't we try that again? Which is why I started this podcast telling you that I actually did yoga as a kid. And I felt I needed to pick up a hobby before I go into this new wave of EMDR so I could have a healthy outlet of release. So I signed up for yoga. Now, since I signed up for yoga, I've only been doing this for a little over a month. My goodness. I wish I did this years ago. It's just been so helpful in numerous ways. So with my therapist, I'm sent out a screening of where I land, with my depression and my anxiety. And since I've started yoga, I've scored the lowest you can with those tests. And my therapist asked me why that is, and I'm a firm believer that it's because of yoga. Now, today's topic on my podcast is rumination. When you ruminate, you're constantly visiting a same subject, the same topic, the same thought over and over and over again, and you're focusing on it. Ruminating helps keep you in a depressive state of mind. It keeps you filled with anxiety. It keeps you focusing on exactly what you don't want to focus on. And it's natural for us to be like this. It's a lot more work to be positive and change your train of thought than to focus on what naturally comes up for you, right? Oftentimes, we're going to remember things that are more traumatic, things that are filled with pain versus the things that bring us joy. We have to teach ourselves to focus on things that make us happy. Now, if you find yourself still in a place where you struggle with changing your train of thought and you ruminate a lot on past situations, if you have PTSD or if you're going through a breakup or it's just a difficult point in your life, you're going to keep focusing on the negative things. When you do that, the more you think about something, the more still you are, and the more you live in your head. The more you live in your head, the worse you feel. The worse you feel, the less you do. The less you do, the more you think. The more you think, the less you do. You get what I'm saying? It's a cycle. So you have to move when you find yourself stuck in this pattern, because if you don't, the pattern is just going to get worse. So the days are just going to get darker and longer, and you're going to feel sicker. Every sickness starts from within. It starts from your emotions. It starts from things that are not tended to, right? Why I mention yoga and rumination, the more I move my body, the more I commit to my practices in yoga, the less I ruminate. Now, I'm not perfect. I am human. Of course, I still have my moments. This is all a work in progress. I am an individual who is healing. But we'll take my podcast for an example. And I feel like every artist can relate to this through their journey of discovering the artist within. You have an idea. You have to get that idea into action. Now, getting that idea into action is a process, because you have to trust that what you're doing is good enough. And that's a whole process within itself, getting it out of your brain and into motion. When I podcast, I question, what am I going to talk about? Are my words worthy enough? Am I good enough to tell my story? Am I good enough to talk into this microphone? Am I who am I actually going to reach with me speaking? This is pointless. Those are all negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts. That's me ruminating. That's me acknowledging that what I'm thinking is real. But I don't have to believe these thoughts that are coming up. I've realized that part of that comes from a very deep core wound that my inner child went through, that endured. Now, building that relationship with my inner child, I honor what I'm feeling and what the dark thoughts are in my head. Now, I go inward and I tell my inner child, hey, what is it that we should do? What do we want to talk about today? My inner child feels proud that I can sit here and say, I don't want to believe those super bad thoughts that come in my head all day. I want to sit up and talk. Now, by the time I finish recording this podcast and I upload it, now I've been put into action. I'm no longer sitting with the intrusive negative energies. I'm not ruminating. Another thing that helps with getting out of your head and into your body is exercise. It's so cliche, but the most cliche things are always the most true. They always ring the most true. You will always hear me say that. When you get in touch with your physical body, that's a completely different level of healing that you go through. When I first joined my yoga class, I found out about it through my neighbor. I have a new neighbor that's been living here for a few months now. And when he first moved here, he told me that he moved from the East Coast and he used to be a yoga instructor. Now, I saw him going through his dark phase, and he would be kind of negative and hesitant about going into yoga again because he didn't want to find himself in a class where people were just super focused on outfits and looks and not necessarily taking the practice of yoga for what it is, which is intersecting mind, body, and spirit into a movement practice. Lo and behold, I see him also getting himself out of this muck. He tells me that he found this yoga studio that's nearby our house. Now I'm like, maybe I should try that out because, like I said, I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. Now I finally feel like I'm in this place where not only am I able to really commit to this because I'm not filled with a boatload of distractions that are harming me, I'm interested in loading me up with activities that are going to benefit me. So I go to the yoga course. I'm there for one course and I immediately sign up. Why it worked for me is I could see that this was a place that really focused in on the purpose of yoga. There's no mirrors in any of the classrooms. All of the people that are members there are visibly older than me. No one seems to just be there to get a fit off. You know, gym clothes is such a thing now. All the girlies have to look so cute in their 2-piece sets and the 1-piece sets. And trust me, I love fashion. I love seeing that. But I know that why I enjoy doing yoga by myself in my home is because when you really connect to this practice, you can have moments of release. So I find myself crying a lot. I find myself meditating a lot. I feel secure being able to heal in the privacy of my home doing yoga. But when I went to the studio, I was like, oh, I finally feel like I found a tribe where this can be really beneficial for me. Joining that yoga studio, I found out about a course called Iyengar. Now, when I tell other people about it, they're like, Iyengar, I've never heard about that. I highly recommend that you look this up if you have experienced a lot of trauma, because your body keeps score. Your body does not know if you being sexually assaulted happened at 6 or 26. That trauma is stored within your body because it never had a safe way of releasing. Your mind didn't have a safe way of releasing. Your heart did not have a safe way of releasing, so it was stored. But sooner or later, you're going to have to address what is stored. And Iyengar is a specific yoga practice where you go into a lot of poses that are specifically tended to release stored trauma. And in this practice, you just continuously visit these poses and you hold them for a very long time. And I promise you, every class that I've taken that's specifically Iyengar focused, I have cried. And I've built a relationship with my professor, my teacher, my yogi instructor. She has made me feel very safe. If I need to be tended to in a specific way, because she knows that if I'm holding certain positions, it's going to make me cry even more. So I have to do a lot of heart openers while I'm in class. And it helps with not being so stuck in my head. Also, just the fact that I have a commitment I'm paying for. I don't have time to just be sitting in the bed thinking about all these dark thoughts, letting depression consume me. So I wake up in the morning, I go to class, I start my day in the best way I ever have. I don't think I've been like this since we were in grade school. When we were in school, we had to wake up early. We had to go to class. And if you had gym first thing in the morning, I know some people hated that, but you were moving your body right away. Throughout the day, you're focused. You go home and obviously you're going to go back to whatever it is that you're experiencing at home. But at least like you had structure. In your adulthood, though, you don't have someone telling you how to do things in a healthy manner. You have to choose for yourself. You also have to trust that you are worthy enough to make these decisions, which then directly addresses my scarcity mindset, right? For the longest time, I didn't think that I could afford it, but somehow I could afford buying Ace, buying Backwoods, buying Frontos, going to bars, buying drinks, getting drinks for the homies, buying bottles, getting clothes, getting my hair done, getting my nails done, but I couldn't get a little money to release pain, to get better, to fix my posture, to build muscle, to finally feel confident. Now that's a direct reflection of how far I've healed, because I've come to this place where I am worthy. And I trust that the money that I'm getting is going to be more than abundant enough for me to be able to afford this. You receive in order to let go. Whatever you hold on to cannot grow. It'll just fester. It'll just sit. So I really encourage everyone, if you find yourself in a state of rumination, if you do not know how to get yourself out of that, you got to physically get up. Simply going outside for a walk, running errands can help with depression, dude. Go window shopping. You gotta move. You gotta get out of your body. Go for a walk. Join a gym membership. Get a gym buddy. I do not know, but I do know the only way to get out of your head is to move physically. You gotta move. Whew. Addressing the trauma within your body is a completely different path from addressing the trauma in your head. Talk therapy is great. EMDR therapy is great, but it's not the only solution. And when you really want to heal, you really want to get to the grit of it, you got to be open to all solutions. And you can't be open to all solutions until you try. And you have to try. And that voice is going to tell you every reason why you're not worthy of trying. But the action is what teaches you that you are. I send you strength, courage, wisdom, and light on your healing journey. You are more than capable of conquering yourself, because it's always you against you in this world. Ooh, I love y'all. Have a great week, okay? Till next time. Bye-bye.